We're going to talk about our love story. And you're all going to listen and enjoy it, hopefully. Because I enjoyed it. I'm Michael Zimmerman. This is Becky. And we've been married 13 years, or 14. I don't really do math. 13. Um, and all good relationships start the same source, and it's Christ and your relationship with Him. So that's of course where mine started too. It was when I was 17 years old, after a couple years of just battling kind of depression, hopelessness. I started realizing that you just realize that the sinner is worthy of death. Like there's something in in your spirit that knows that despite your good efforts, despite your standing, despite your parents' you have fallen short of the glory of God. And throughout that, I learned the just the goodness of God and His grace, and I was born into His Spirit, like Moses was saying. So, at 17 years old, I had an advantage. I had spiritual eyes to see, and I had wisdom that was from above. And that plays out in little ways here and there, and you don't really, like, if you would have known me throughout those years, you wouldn't have necessarily seen it. But looking back now, that's what led me to where I am today. And when we grew up in horse and buggy Mennonite, much like Amish, and then we moved to another church, and they were good, like they were nice people. There was girls there too, and I was kind of thinking, that girl, she's nice, she's got a good spirit, but I knew in the back of my mind that if I was to marry there, I would be marrying into a system, and I just knew in the long run, that system would mold my children, and and I just knew that something was wrong there, even though, you don't just know everything at the moment. It's just the way things go. So that led me to, we had always listened to Mike Pearl's teaching, and that's actually where I got saved, was listening to his, or reading an article in one of his magazines. And then I listened to a lot of his teaching. So there was a shindig. Some of you guys were probably there at the Alert Academy. That was the first one they put on. And we heard about this, and me and my older brother and the whole family, we went down there, and it was just the leading up to it was just like, we didn't have great hopes or anything, but it was just this kind of exciting event that would be, they hyped it up pretty good, the shindig, and a lot of people attended, and I met a lot of good people there. But I guess I want Becky to kind of show her story up to that point.
Yeah, so I grew up Amish right here on this farm, actually. So Moses and Andrew are my brothers. And so we were 17 when we left, just in time to save me from Amish dating, which can be pretty dicey. So I was really grateful for that. So after we left, for about quite a while there, I tried really hard to get saved. And I kind of had an experience when I was 18 that, I thought I was saved, and I got baptized. And so we were more in like a charity type fellowship at that point. And, everybody thought I was in fire for God, but I still had a lot of doubts so many times. I just didn't know for sure where I stood. So over that time, it was, I kept just seeking God. I was like, God, just show me the truth. Show me where I stand before you. And I just didn't let it go, because I wanted to know and have that witness in my spirit, which I felt like was missing. So, this went on for a couple of years where, I wasn't overly anxious over so I can believe, and so I can love you. And another point I wanted to make, really thankful looking back, just for a strong family and influences in my life. That, you know, I didn't think so much about it at the time, but looking back, I can see that it was really crucial in keeping me from yielding to strong temptations like crush at work. And, Mose and Andrew are my older brothers, and, their expectations are like up there. So, that's really, I know a lot of girls that didn't have that strong family and good relationships that, keep you in check and keep you accountable. So, um, grateful for that. And so when I was around 20, I went to work for No Greater Joy, Mike and Debbie Pearl, and also the Bulk Herb Store, which is owned by their daughter. So, it was helpful to be around people that didn't just assume I was saved. So it was more in the open, and, I kept seeking. And, it was over that time where it came to a point where I was like, man, I just want to get to the bottom of this. Like, what is it that, I just can't know for sure. And I get ready to start praying again, and it just hit me that, God is bigger than all this. He's bigger than my doubts, and he's bigger than my sin. And I think it was just that moment that I had just enough faith, and he just saved me right there. And I was free. Like I had that witness, and I had that foundation that has never moved from then on. And, I had a lot of ups and downs from there on, but that foundation was always there. So, I'm just so grateful because, like Mike said, you have that wisdom of the Spirit moving forward. And also around this time, I remember just praying and asking God that he would write my love story. And knowing that it was him that invented it, I asked that he would reveal to me something of who he is by how he brings it about. So, so I was there working for a Bulk Herb Store. The shindig was coming up, and of course I was going to go because this is a pretty big event. It was the very first one, and it's kind of where all the camps started from. So I was really busy with a lot of projects and didn't have a lot of time to think about it. But so I was planning to help with a booth that the Bulk Herb Store was having there. So that's where I was leading up to the shindig.
Yeah, so we were in our parents' van, all of us kids. Our dad didn't go, but our mom and all the kids went. And the first thing we were there a little early, I think, so not many people were there. And we meet Mike Pearl for the first time, and he had his whatever buckskin hat he had on. Just he was there, immediately started spinning yarns about Tennessee and how goats fall into the neighbors' fields, and it was kind of funny, and it was just kind of a breath of fresh air. Like, it wasn't this pastor coming up and like, how are you doing? Like, how's your walk with the Lord? And then we talk with him for a while, and then we go into the building, and Debbie Pearl meets us, and that was the first impression of Debbie. And I didn't know that this hyped up shindig was actually a matchmaking thing for her, because the first thing was like, hi, how are y'all doing? There's some nice, pretty girls here looking for some husbands. And I was like, oh, well, nice. And there was actually some girls right there in a booth. Becky was in there. And I still today wish I would have been like, oh, you mean these? But, I just got disregarded. But she was in there, so Debbie got very close, with she was right on. But, the shindig was kind of a whirlwind of faces. And I don't really, there's a lot of friends I still know to this day were there, like Schrock, like Andrew Moses, and the Tates, and a lot of others were there. And I wasn't there desperately looking for a spouse, but of course it was on my mind. Like I was 23, 22, and as time went on, I did notice Becky then, but she was just kind of among other girls. Like she didn't just like stick out like this is going to be my future spouse. And the funny thing is, my sisters, they were kind of shrewd. Like my mom and my sisters have always been kind of shrewd, and they, at one point, they come up to one of the others and were like, "There's this one girl that Becky would, or that Michael would love," and her name was Becky. And my mom is just like that. Like she had other ideas. So it's been other times before that she thought she had somebody picked out that I would just love, and she was wrong. So you just kind of are like, yeah, it's not really that much to go off of. But I think the first time I actually met her, didn't we go from one event center to the next in the van? And my mom was, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that story, so you go ahead and, well, it's a teaser. She's gonna tell.
So yeah, we were there in the Bulgar store booth, and people start trickling in, and this group of guys walk in, and we're like the only girls in the vicinity. And Debbie, makes her comment. It's like, I'm so glad y'all are here. There's a lot of girls here looking for wives, and we're like, for husbands. And we were the only girls there, and it was like the most embarrassing moment of my life. Like I wanted to sink through the floor really badly. So I did not get like a good look at the guys. I didn't even know it was him until probably after we were dating. Like I just was so embarrassed. But yeah, so things just kind of, you meet a lot of people. There were so many people there, and I think we met his older brother on the volleyball court, or Mose did, and we got kind of connected with their family because they were Dutch speaking, and it was kind of neat. And then we ended up eating dinner with the whole family at one point and shared our stories, and we were just all excited for, talking about how we got saved and all that. And so they invited me to ride with them in the van up to the main building because I didn't have, so I wouldn't have to walk. And so we get out in the van, and his mom is hilarious. I love her. So we're seated in the van ready to take off. Mike was driving, and she plops his Bible in my lap and is like, "Here, read this poem that Mike wrote when he got saved." And I was like, it's a little embarrassing, a little bit in your face, but sure, I'll read it. And so I read this poem, and I didn't know this guy at all, but it was just a poem about how he got saved and his experience, and it made such an impression on me. I was like, this is where I found out what he believes. Yeah. And it was the gospel, so it was very attractive. It was just, he understood the gospel. It's like, so I just subconsciously stored that away. It's like, man, this guy understands the gospel. And that was very important to me in a guy. That's like the very first thing on my list, basically, to be like-minded in that way. So I, this time I wasn't necessarily attracted to him because he was, we were so different. I was very outgoing, always had a lot going on, and I probably hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about what type of personality, would complement mine, or what, you're just kind of in a whirlwind. And so I think a lot of times girls don't really consider the quiet, unassuming guys that are not in the spotlight making things happen. And I probably never imagined myself, ending up with a guy like that. So it was more just something I stored away. It's like, oh, he would be a good guy, you know, he knows the gospel. So
Okay, I don't know if I need that. I like winging things, even our tax returns. um, but Becky keeps papers, so I'm not in prison yet. Um, like after, so during the shindig, I noticed her smile. I'm like, yeah, she's nice, but it's just, it's not enough time, I guess, or, um, but moving on, when was the next time we saw each other at the, oh, your paper. Ooh. So there was a Thanksgiving event down at the Rose, which Marlon was interested in one of their daughters, and the Schrocks were there again. And, you know, that was a time, you know, it was the Rose, I was just kind of the brother tagging along, and that's kind of fun when you're that, where, you know, you make the impression. Rose liked me, and that really helped my brother. And so I was like, at once, you know, we weren't in competition. I was helping the cause, and I could just be goofy, and it was, I had a lot of fun there, but I wasn't necessarily there to impress Becky, so I was probably kind of embarrassing that, but it was, but then I did start thinking about her kind of seriously, that, yeah, I see, you know, yeah. And it, you know, I was always, and this is just what I was going to do if possible. I was never want to get in a relationship unless it was going to go towards marriage. It's, you know, it's easy to wait, and if you're going to see the girl multiple times, you can make up your mind kind of as the events go by, and you know, I don't need to get emotionally entangled. That was my plan, and it was totally manufactured by me and not by somebody telling me. And so I didn't really think about that at that point. But then next time, oh, the event in Pennsylvania. So they came up to Pennsylvania. So, oh yeah, the Pearl Tech Convention in Lancaster training, and we went there. I think you guys came to our place, right? Yeah. And then Becky several times rode in my car, even like with a totally unsolicited from me. And you know, there were others there, but you know, when somebody's close proximity to you, you can talk and you can kind of get the feel and the spirit and of the person. I was there driving along, and you know, then I started to kind of try to, you know, win her, put my best foot forward, like no more goofiness. And I was saying wise things, and then looking up into the rearview mirror with one eye and kind of seeing what she thought about it. And often she was very approving, so we did that a couple times. And she kept riding with me, and I was like, obviously this girl does not hate me, so this is the first step. And then it should I leave it at that, or I keep going? Oh, so then the next one was a ski trip. Oh yeah, that is an important spot. So for some reason this girl started really everything, you know, green light means go, right? Yeah. And that's kind of how it was. Like, there wasn't no red flags, no compatible structure that we were molded to. And she, it was just, you know, it's hard to put this in a timeline, but at the end of that, I was pretty smitten by her. And I remember, you know, again, you know, we were from plain background too, and you just don't know the approved way of dating in this outside world. So you just kind of do what seems right to you, I guess. So I remember we were staying at my, so us and the guys stayed at my sister-in-law's place. They were married at the time, had a house that was pretty big. And I remember when we were laying there at night, and I loaded up a question to Andrew. I was like, no, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. that I what did I say exactly? I really like your sister.
And I was like, I don't think that's her voice.
And well, you didn't say that. There was like this silence, and I think it kind of ended there. But I was delivering a message, and I knew that how this works. Like if you say it in that way, it does carries a meaning that. And Andrew knew it too. So is that where I stop now? So yeah, then.
So yeah, at that event, at the end of that time, when Andrew and I were driving home, we were just all excited about all the people we had met, and there were some couples potentially, that liked each other, and we were just talking about different people, and I was like, I wonder about Mike, like, does he like a girl? And Andrew was just like, he likes you. And, I was just totally floored, totally in denial, and it's like, how do you know? Like, no way. And I don't know why. I guess, I thought it was a great honor that a guy like him would like me, but I had no idea if I would like him. And Andrew just, for once, he didn't talk much. He just kind of kept his opinions to himself. But he assured me that he thinks he meant, like, he likes you, but not just like, oh, he thinks you're a nice girl. So, I was still in denial. It was like, oh, he just meant like he likes me as a person, and tried not to think about it too much. But it planted a little seed, I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, there were a few events that were planned, which is a great idea, I think. So all the young people that had met planned a ski trip. So just more ways to like hang out, and so I got to see him there, and yeah, that was fun. Just more time to get to know each other, and then still, nothing like happening or anything. Then his family, mostly his mom, invited Andrew and I out to their place just for the weekend, just for fun. So I was like, I kind of pretended like I don't really care about going, but Andrew's like, I'm going. I think he kind of liked the girl there at that time, so I was like, okay, well, I'll tag along. And so, yeah, we spent the weekend there, had a great time. I don't know if you want to say anything about that when you
Yeah, it kind of gets fuzzy which times are which, but I do remember one time when, I wanted to talk to Becky, and Becky always moves around, like, you kind of had to kind of run ahead of her, like, just kind of watch an opportunity, and, she's kind of just moves fast, like, she still walks faster than me, even when she's pregnant. But I remember one time so I kind of cornered her, and just in the living room, other people were there. I cornered her and started talking to her, like casual, but she couldn't get away, and so we talked for a while, and I could kind of tell she didn't hate it either, but she might have been awkward, but that was just more encouragement that, yeah, she doesn't hate me, that's a good step. And there was again, like, there just weren't any red flags. So that would be, yeah. And then after, again, like I was saying, I was getting pretty smitten. So it's kind of like, where do you go now? Like, what do you do? Like, she lives in Ohio, I live in Pennsylvania. There's not just every youth event, every weekend that you can just build this thing up, and plus gas is kind of expensive and time is limited. And I just had the peace, and the time was at hand that I was going to ask her if I could pursue a relationship with her, and I put it pretty blunt, and I put it in a Facebook message. It's kind of like, I knew that I will put all my I would put myself on the line. Like, I don't care if it's a rejection. It's got to be. This is a moment that I don't want to miss. So I wrote it, and it was going to be pretty much a yes or no answer, the way I wrote it, and I wanted it to be that way. If she doesn't want to do it, then we will part ways, and it'll just be a thought. So I penned this letter, and I don't have it here. It's probably somewhere in the archives of Google. You can probably AI, it'll come right up. And but it was this. I wrote that I wanted to pursue a relationship with her, and that's all I can really remember. And but I gave her a way out. Like if she could say no, and it kind of I tried to make it easy for her to say no too. And then I waited, and she was kind of like Chuck Taylor. Just suddenly there was patience there, and she always moves. But I don't think. Well, maybe I should let you talk about your side, because I still don't know what was happening on the other side of the state border.
Yeah, so this was soon after the visit that Andrew and I made out there, and one evening in the next week I checked my email, and that was back when, I checked my email, and that was back when Facebook notifications actually meant a lot, and so I was like, ooh, new message from Michael Zimmerman? And that's odd, juicy. And so I quickly opened that up, and lo and behold, wow, this is something I'd never gotten before. Very blunt, very clearly stated his intentions, and it was so nice, because I had an experience before where I was talking to a guy, and it was more casual, like, yeah, I'd like to get to know you a little better, but nothing serious. So, you don't have your guards up, you're not evaluating, and you're setting yourself up to be burned, both parties, especially if you have to move out of it. So this was kind of a breath of fresh air, but I kept it to myself overnight, didn't tell anyone, just thought about it. But this was, by this time I was like, okay, this is, I felt peace about it. I knew he was a great guy. It would just be like, I would get to know him and see if I liked him. Like, I just didn't know if we would be compatible, or so anyway, next day I talked to my parents and got their blessing, and Dad was like, if you feel this way, then he'd say go for it, and it was just so much peace in my heart, and it's so wonderful when you get to that point where, like he said, you just get the green light. All your reservations that you've been saving for this moment, you're allowed to relax and let them go and experience this wonderful new step in your life. So I wrote him back with yes, I'd be interested, and we went from there.
I don't know how much time we have, but does what say? I can. Oh.
You got another 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So after that, then we were basically official, and I think we had to spend a couple of trips back and forth here, and I don't know even when that was compared to when I proposed, but it was quite a while, like a couple of months or so, and that again, I just can't remember much in between there that's significant anyway for you, but I remember when, again, hey, if everything's right, I mean, time is just a nuisance. So I went to the mall and got myself a ring. This was a couple months later, I guess. And I brought it out here to this very farm, drove in here, and I remember thinking, man, these rings, why are they these stupid square boxes? Like, where do you hide them? It's like that they don't look like this hernia somewhere. And again, I was winging it. Like, I didn't know. Yeah, how to, or so I came in here, and I was like, well, I thought, if I fail and don't actually get the proposal done, that's fine. I at least am prepared. And so I drove in here, and we spent, how long was I even here? A couple days. So a couple days, nothing really came up. And I remember then on the one Sunday, I think everyone went to church, and I was going to go home that afternoon, so it was getting close to crunch time here, and we didn't go to church, and I remember Becky was kind of showing me around this place, and there was no chicken houses, no gym, like all this was woods, and we were kind of walking around and just having a good time, enjoying each other's company, except for me, it was like this aggravating ring was there, and I had plans. So it was just this kind of following around of, what I do, what is it, I don't know. And but we kept kind of walking around, and then we came back to the house, right? And I was kind of like, oh, shoot, didn't get it done. And then somehow, I don't know if I think Becky, did you kind of suggest going back the trail there? Oh, did I? Well, we were walking all day. Why would I have suggested go on a walk?
I thought it
You
was
weren't
odd.
done yet.
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay.
suggested we go on a walk, and I was like, that's odd. We were walking all day. But sure, there's one bridge I haven't showed you yet.
So we went, these trails weren't here like they are now, but it was generally that back way back there. And then there's back there, it's probably not the same bridge, but I think there's probably still a bridge there. Oh, it's washed out, it's gone forever. Served its purpose. But anyway, we went out back there and on this bridge, and Becky kind of lingered there for a while, and that's a rare opportunity with Becky, if she's going on a walk, she's going on a walk. Like, why wouldn't you walk? And so I got this ring out like a quick draw. Well, I don't know how I did it. Even it's all blurred because I was stressed. And I proposed to her, and she said yes. Quite, like I said, she didn't hate me. Like she was. I did it at the right time, and everything worked out. And I was so relieved and yeah, it was monumental.
Yeah, so thankfully I had just gotten to the point where I was thinking to myself, yeah, I would marry this guy. If he would have proposed a little sooner, it might have been a little like, I'm not sure. So thankfully that all worked out. I was so taken off guard. I was so surprised because I figured he would take his good old time. But I guess in this case, like my brothers made a joke afterwards, he was a turtle turned snapper. Some inside joke about turtle. But yeah, so that was really sweet. I just was so in disbelief beside myself that he asked me to marry him. And of course I said yes, and I think I, just thought the natural reaction would be to like kind of give him a hug, and we were pretty hands off until this point, and he's just, I kind of sort of exuberantly give him a little hug, and I don't know, I don't think he ever hugged a woman in his life before. And he's just stiff and straight. I'm like, okay, it's okay. It's like, I'm not just happy, I'm just excited. So yeah, then it's like a whirlwind of, after that, it's like, okay, when are we gonna get married? And moving ahead, great speed like I tended to do, and planning a wedding and all that. And there did come a time when, I don't know if you want me to share about this. Yeah, we had to learn to communicate, and it wasn't all just everything super smooth. He was a very different personality than me, and so I think there was this time when I just started having fears, kind of like Mose was sharing, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It was like, why do I have these feelings? Like, I'm anxious about it, and I think when I was always pretty independent. I thought I was not an emotional person, but you open yourself up to someone else, you become vulnerable, and it's in a good way, but you have to trust the other person. And I think it kind of all boiled down to finally, talking to a friend, this like, I'm marrying this guy and he hasn't even told me that he loves me. And you know, you wouldn't think that that was a big deal, but you know, it was just one of the things that we worked through, and we figured out how to communicate. And
I finally actually bought her flowers and chocolate because my dad actually suggested that. And you know, if my dad suggests something you should do like that, you do it because that means you're missing something. And so that was kind of sweet of him to tell go buy her some flowers. And but yeah, it's just, you know, you just because you're pursuing somebody doesn't necessarily mean you know the language, you know how a woman, like how to make her feel cherished, like you're just a greenhorn. And I just had full confidence if we stick this out, she, like I just knew, like it would be good. And you know, I knew that I could show her my love, you know, in different ways through the future. It was just, yeah, it's hard because, and you know, I felt a little ill-equipped at this going, well, did you just say I love you? Like, that's just a word. Like, isn't love a deed? It's like, but you realize that there is something in the Bible that says washing of the word, and it seems we need it, you know, to actually have the word. You know, one thing that's kind of for me, you know, kind of a little bit of advice. You know, my parents, my mom, you know, she was kind of a matchmaker. I never gave her any bait, never told her, you know, a girl that I liked. It was always kept under the wraps because, like, well, I might just have a passive crush on her. And why does my mom need to know? And she one time commented, like, I don't know who you're going to. I don't see you ever getting, or she was marveling on the fact, like, would you ever get married? Something like that. Basically, she was saying that she doesn't really see me leaving the nest, but she didn't realize I was going to wing it out of there. You know, this just comes down to like marriage is you pursuing a wife, and some, like for me, it took some pursuit. Like I had to kind of in a way make myself seen, and it wasn't all like storybook. It was, you know, kind of awkward sometimes, but it was meant to be, I guess you should say, or it all worked out. And looking back at, like, we didn't have what was our first time we met until we were engaged was, no, not 2 months, 6 months. And I don't think we suffered for that. Like, if you know the time, you know you have each other's hearts, it wouldn't really have done us any good to draw it out longer. And you know, throughout our years now, you know, you still, like, I had plenty of time to figure out the language of a woman and to make her feel loved and cherished. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's been good. Like, God's been good. And we've like Andrew was saying, marriage is a very good thing, and it's something that's a lot more natural. Even to go find a wife, marry her, it's a natural thing that God has set up. It's not this, you know, it's meant to be. So, alrighty, well, I thank you for listening to us.